really serious about wanting to die. I was very serious about that. As I left the hotel, I just figured the only other way was for me to drown myself.
Shaquan headed to the North Edisto River and says she drove the car with the boys in it into the water.
So once you're sitting in the water is rising in the car.
It felt like I was coming out of a trance or something, almost like waking up, so to speak.
Or the adrenaline of recognizing that you're about to die. Literally, you're about to die. This is real. This isn't cutting yourself superficially. This isn't taking some powders. This is, you are in a car, that car is going underwater, and you're about to drown. Would you say you were fighting for your life?
I had to be.
The same way Devin tried to fight for his. How did you get out of that car and out of the water? How did you do that?
There's something I'm still, other than, the angels of God being there.
Good evening, happy Sabbath, and all that good stuff. Listen, if I'm being honest, I was not going to do this video today. I figured that I had all week, but the way my job is set up, honey, I'm exhausted by the time that I get in here. So I decided to just go ahead and put this out here. Better late than never. But I will say that this case definitely comes with a trigger warning, so be mindful of that. This week's case, it does involve the death of a child. Well, 2 children in this case. So just be prepared. Again, look after yourselves. That is the most important thing. If you feel like this is one that you cannot stomach, I understand. I'll see you again in the next one. But we're going to go ahead and move past all the preliminaries, and we're going to make it happen. Now, this case is about a woman who a lot of people refer to as the Black Susan Smith due to the details of this case. And as I go along, you will kind of put those pieces together. If you know anything about Susan Smith, you'll see why. Also, I need to state that she hates that reference. I have spoken to her several times, and every time I've mentioned that or she's heard it mentioned, it really gets under her skin. But I don't know why, because I mean, the cases are so eerily similar that it's going to make you sick to your stomach. But I'm getting ahead of myself. On August 16, 2010, the Orangeburg County Sheriff's Department was alerted to a crash that happened on the Shillings Bridge Road about 5 miles outside of Orangeburg. They found a car plunged into the Edisto River, and later that day they decided that it might have been intentional. 29-year-old Shaquan Duley, the mother in this case, had walked down a country road and flagged down a passing motorist in order to use their cell phone to call 911. Once she reached someone, she stated that her car had plunged into the Edisto River and that she needed help getting her children out. Sheriff's investigators were immediately suspicious, wondering how a traffic accident could have happened upstream near a boat ramp. She showed some emotion, but I can't say that she was overly distraught, says Sheriff Larry Williams. He was referring to the fact that Shaquan Duley's 2 toddlers were inside of the car, which had rapidly plunged into the Edisto River. Ramona Millhouse, whose side porch is steps away from the river, stated that she could not understand why Shaquan Duley had not simply knocked on her door, or banged on it for that matter. She simply thought that the toddlers were unconscious until she realized that they were being taken to a nearby ambulance with no signs of trying to revive them. The 81-year-old said, quote, "It sounds fishy to me. If it really was an accident, she would have been banging, hollering, and screaming and really raising the devil." Millhouse went on to say that when she and her husband woke up, she could see the car inside of the water and one of the toddlers' head above the water. The car had to come from the boat landing on the other side of a concrete bridge, which is adjoining to her property, and then down into the slowly moving river. The car windows were up, and she heard rescuers say that the ignition was on. Authorities attempted to contact the children's father, who did not live with the family. A motive emerged soon after. News reports stated that Shaquan Duley was broke, jobless, and had been berated by her mother due to her failings in life. And after one particularly bad argument, Shaquan Duley then strapped her 2 young babies into the car, took them to a hotel room where she proceeded to smother each one of them with her bare hands and then strapped them in the car. All in all, the entire scene had been staged, and investigators were correct in their assumptions. This was no accident. Shaquan Duley had purposely taken her children to the river in an effort to cover up the death that she had caused them at that hotel. Shaquan Duley was then charged with smothering her 2 children, placing their lifeless bodies into the car before pushing it into the Edisto River. On August 18th, Shaquan Duley made her first appearance in court before Orangeburg County Magistrate Derek Dash. 3 days after the tragedy, 2 Orangeburg Department of Public Safety workers recalled finding a baby shoe floating up to the top of the water during the rescue efforts. On August 20th, more than 700 mourners attended the joint funeral of 18-month-old Javon Duley and 2-year-old Devin Duley. A bond hearing for Shaquan Duley was scheduled for August 26th but was subsequently canceled. On September 13th, bond was denied for Shaquan Duley, whose attorney argued that his client suffered from severe depression and suicidal tendencies on the day that she killed her children. Carl Grant, Shaquan's attorney, stated that he planned on using an insanity defense. On September 16th, the Duley family appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show. Helen Duley, Shaquan's mother, stated that she was hysterical the day the coroner came to tell her that 2 of her grandchildren were gone. On September 21st, 4.5 weeks after the toddlers were first discovered, Sheriff Larry Williams died from heart complications. Keep that in your back pocket. He was only 53 years old. Before he passed, Sheriff Larry Williams stated that Shaquan Duley did in fact admit to a female deputy that she had killed her children, stating the pressures of parenthood, and she showed little to no remorse. She was only initially charged with leaving the scene of an accident, but because investigators had their doubts, more was added. Carl B. Grant's plans were obliterated when it was stated that lying to authorities meant that Shaquan Duley knew right from wrong. She loved her children. I know she did, said Helen Duley, Shaquan's mother. She's been a gentle child all her life. That gentle child had been said to try to kill herself as well that night by taking a dozen packages of a well-known pain reliever as well as slitting her wrists. When those attempts failed, Shaquan Duley then resorted to trying to kill herself in her car, but at the last minute she changed her mind and climbed out. Shaquan Duley eventually pled guilty to the charges and was facing 30 years to life in prison. She ended up with a sentence of 35 years, day for day. The judge in the case stated that the sentence he handed down did not in any way minimize the horrors of what she had done to her children. After pleading guilty, Shaquan Duley tearfully apologized for what she had done to her sons and stated that she was glad that God allowed her to keep her memories of them. In spite of what I've gone through, she continued, I still have hope in my heart that one day I will see them again. The case brought back memories of Susan Smith, who in 1994 submerged her own car into the water with her children alive in the back seat. They were 3 years old and 14 months old. The cases had their differences, being that Susan Smith's children were alive when she placed her car into the river. Once again, Shaquan Duley had suffocated her own children with her hands before placing them into the car. I think the one thing we can agree on is that neither mother showed any mercy. Susan Smith received life in prison for what she had done, while Shaquan received 35 years day for day due to what I can only perceive as a plea deal. Whew. Now, in the spirit of Death on a Dirt Road, I'm going to tell you guys my thoughts on Shaquan Duley. Because yes, I've met with her. I've spoken with her extensively. I got to know her while working the building that she was on at Camille Griffin Grand Correctional Institution, known as Dana. And she was in a college program with Columbia International University where she received her associate's degree in some kind of religious studies. I'm not exactly sure. I don't want to lie and call it what it is not. But Shaquan Duley is very open about her case. The only thing that creeps me out about her is the fact that she still speaks about her children as though they are alive. When she speaks about her daughter, Sanaya, she'll speak about Devin and Javon as though they're at home playing with Sanaya and she's simply just away. She stated that when she was at church, God gave her a revelation that she was not going to do all 35 years and that she would get out earlier and go home to be with her daughter. Now, that part part I could not say much about because I just beg to differ. Justice was not expedient, but it was sure, and she certainly deserved every year that they gave her, and probably more. Now, I like Shaquan. I'm not trying to speak negatively of her, but what she did is inexcusable. She killed 2 children due to the fact that she was not satisfied with her way in life. She killed her 2 children due to the fact that her mother and her sister, these are her words, not mine, were constantly getting on her for the things that she was doing or not doing in this case. And I asked her one day while we were having a particular heart-to-heart. I was cleaning my office and I had to stop sweeping for a moment, and I asked her, I said, if your daughter had been with you, would you have killed her as well? And she said, I didn't know how to feel about that. I'm not anybody's judge, jury, or executioner, and I can have a conversation with you regardless of what you have done, because my thing is, you give me respect, I'll give you respect. But that one rubbed me the wrong way. A lot of people did not like Shaquan. A lot of people took their feelings into work. They came there with the notion that you did this, that, and third. And a lot of them were mothers. I have never been a mother, but I am an auntie, and I cannot imagine anybody doing anything so horrific to any one of my children. But I just know that this was unfair to these children. I know that they did not deserve what they got. From what I've been told from her, Sanaya was out with her grandmother getting her hair done, and had she been at that house, God only knows what would have happened. But she stated that her mother and sister were like really, really petty to her. They would hide the washing powder. She would walk in on conversations where they were just discussing her heavily, and it hurt her to her core. Now, I told you to keep the thing about Sheriff Larry Williams in your back pocket, and God bless the dead. I'm not speaking negatively of the man, but there was a rumor that he was her children's father, the last 2 anyway. She stated that it was a guy named Maurice. That's what she told me. But the media in Orangeburg, now small towns talk, okay? That's the thing that you need to know about a small town. If you live in big cities, then you probably cannot relate. But especially in the South, small towns are going to talk. And it went around that Larry Williams was the father of her 2 children. I don't know. I was not there. Only they were there. But, that was stated to be one of the reasons why he had heart failure, because he was so stressed out that this was going to come out. Again, these are not my words, but she vehemently denies that she had any kind of romantic involvement with the sheriff. She stated that she knew her children's father, and that was not it. Some people say that they favor. I don't know. This is not a gossip channel, and I don't like to speculate. I've told you guys that many, many times. But getting back to Shaquan, she stated that she was working as a CNA, I believe, and her uncle passed away. And when her uncle passed away, it became too much. She couldn't do it anymore. She couldn't do the job anymore. So she went and she quit her job, and that was the straw that broke the camel's back. The mother and the sister just ragged on her. They made her feel like she was nothing, and she felt like she was going to eliminate the problem, which in her mind was her, Devin, and Javon. Sanaya was said to be the apple of the grandmother's eye, and so she could do no wrong. When she had that interview with Oprah, and I'm going to play a little bit of it right here.
I hear you're in the 1st grade now?
Yes.
Miss 1st grader. Oh. Is this your room in here?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Can I come in?
I'm coming in. Yeah. Oh my gosh. You have got too many toys. Let me see. What's this?
My report card.
Your report card.
Yes.
You're on the principal's list?
Yes, ma'am.
You're taking social studies in the 1st grade?
Yes.
Are these all E's, E's, E's? Excellent, excellent, excellent,
Yes.
excellent, excellent. I love a straight A student. And I super love a straight A student that's a girl. I think it's so great. Do you like to read too?
Yes.
Oh, I love girls who like to read. I know your life's changed a lot recently. How's it having your grandmother raise you? Is that okay?
It's fine.
Is it fun? Is she being, do you think she's doing a good job?
Yes, she really is.
Yes? Has it been a tough adjustment for you with your mom being away? Yeah. Do you like going to visit her on the weekend, or do you get a little nervous when you have to go?
No, I love visiting her.
You do? You do? You do? Why do you like visiting her?
Because I get to see her face.
You get to...
As you heard, Oprah asked her, how is it being raised by your grandmother? And she said, I really like it. It's fun. And poor baby, she did not stay that innocent and that little forever. You know, on some of my conversations with Shaquan, she was really, really troubled at the fact that Sanaya was acting up in school. You know, she just was giving everybody some attitude. And I was asking her, like, what do you expect? You literally turned her world upside down. Not only did you go away, but her brothers are never coming back, and she knows that that happened at the hands of her mother. As you can see, this is not a dumb child. This child is really intuitive, and she's really in tune into what is going on. She's seen the media spectacle. She was there on the Oprah show, and she knew what that was about. You don't know what she's had to see on TV, what her classmates have said, because children are cruel. And I could not blame the little girl for acting out, because possibly she does not understand why these things happen. Why her mom had to go away, why her brothers are gone, why, most importantly, she had to attend a funeral for her brothers. You know, they all share that one room. If you looked, you could see how tiny that space was. Shaquan taught the children at home while Sanaya went off to school. And, you know, it was so packed and crowded in that room. And all four of them were sharing that one little space. The home was tiny, and there was just a lot going on. And so I can imagine that everybody was stressed. Money probably was an issue. I know the father was not living there, as the mother and father had separated or either gotten divorced. I'm not exactly sure, but you can see just how cramped and tight everything was. So, you know, this was not a family who had come from money. So they probably were stressed out, and she was adding to the issue by not having a job, by taking out these loans to go to school and failing these classes. Not only that, it had been stated that Oprah gave them upwards of $12 million for that interview. Well, when I spoke to Shaquan and I asked her about that, because I was very candid about the fact that I had seen the interview, and I saw that interview before I even started working at Camille Graham. I did not know that she was going to be coming there, because she did not get prosecuted until like 2 years after, right when I started. So this has been over 10 years ago. This has been a decade ago. And I remember sitting around a television with my mother and sisters, and I was so in tune. We were eating dinner. I was so in tune to this interview, and I was distraught for these babies. I could not believe that someone could be capable of something like this. Before I got to the prison, let me tell you something. People murdering their children, mothers, fathers, that was not a thought in my mind. I knew that children died. I was not naive to that fact. But what I was naive to, the fact of the rate of the way that mothers kill their I just was not prepared for that. And when I got there and I saw this woman, she was a bigger woman, you know. I kind of had to look up to her because she's tall. And, you know, when I got her on that building and she and I began having those intimate conversations, you know, and she started telling me of the things that she endured at the hands of her family. And I could not listen to any of that, because none of that mattered. That's small things to a giant in the grand scheme of things. Like, you killed your children, ma'am. That does not add up. People are going to talk, whether you do good or whether you do bad. That did not have to be the outcome, but God knows best. You know, he makes no mistakes. This was written in their destiny, perhaps for whatever reason, whatever their purpose was on the earth. I pray that they fulfilled it. And I pray that Shaquan stops going around telling people that the Lord told her that she is not going to do those 35 years, because she deserves every day. Every day, no matter how much I feel like she is a nice person outside of what she's done. None of that excuses the fact that she took her own two hands, placed it over her children's nose and mouth, murdered them while they fought her. They fought for their lives, Lord. And she placed them in that car, and she allowed that car to be submerged so that she could get a cover story. And the fact that she hates being compared to Susan Smith, listen, had you not done that, there would be no comparison to make, but it is what it is. You know, this is no disrespect to anybody in this case, not even Shaquan, but these are my opinions. That was a horrific and an evil act. I don't care how much tunnel vision you had. I don't care how depressed you had. You know, I don't condone suicide and unaliving oneself. I don't condone any of that. But ma'am, that would have been a better outcome than what you did. And you know what? Perhaps just take stock of your life. Just take, responsibility for the fact that things may not have gone the way that you want. How many of us have failed in this world? How many of us have felt depressed because we felt like things were not working out, but we endured? We allowed things to get better, because guess what? Things always get better in the end. And if they're not better, then it's not the end. But I'm going to stop. I'm going to cut it right here, because I can go on and on and on about this case. I was dreading doing this one. I did not want to do it. But something said, you know what? It's time. It's time to cover it. And then not only that, a friend of mine, we were having a debate about the last case that I covered on Elizabeth Paris. And we were debating on whether or not she deserved life. And she stated, she brought up Shaquan Duley, and she asked me if she had taken a plea, and that was the sign that I needed, that it was time to go ahead and cover this case. But I'm going to go ahead and end this one right here. This was a heavy one to get through. I know I say that a lot, but I really, really mean that. I mean, the photos in this case, the details in this case, those tiny little I can't. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to Night TV. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Death on a Dirt Road. Join me next time for the next case that I covered. I have no idea what it's going to be, but I promise it's going to be a good one. I hope you guys have a blessed week ahead, and I'll talk to you in the next one.
I want you right here.